There are times that we take the wrong path because somebody inspired us to go down that path, and it takes a while to realize what happened. Well, if you find yourself in any situation like that, this video might help. Let's see what the Cat Tarot has to say about being stuck and how to get out. Welcome back to Sweet Infinity. My name is Kieran, and today we'll be reading from the Cat Tarot deck that is illustrated by Megan Lynn Cott. I love this deck, one of my favorites. Got cute little kitty cats all over it. If you would like to purchase this deck, feel free to get it from one of the links in the description below. They're affiliate links. I'd appreciate it if you would get it from there. I just love this deck. This is the deck I pull out when I just want a fun reading that's lighthearted and just charming. It's got little silver bits on the deck cover. Cards themselves are nice. Watercolor, handmade look. All these cute little kitties in the world that you could ever want. So while I shuffle, I'd love it if you would subscribe and do all that fun stuff. Do a thumbs up and, leave me a comment at some point. I would also love to hear from you. Do you have a cat? Do you like cats or dogs? I like dogs too, I'm pretty okay with either one. I'm definitely more of a cat person myself, but I also love dogs, and there are many dogs that I know whom I love very much. So, let's see what the Cat Tarot has to say today. I would like to read today something to do with how you are feeling in this day and age, considering all of the not so pleasant things that are going on in the world. I don't know about you, but I've been feeling extremely depressed, extremely, I would say, under the weather, but it's not under the weather. It's more like the weather of the world. And my cats are some of the very few things in life that bring me joy and basically convince me to get out of bed sometimes. And I think that's a feeling that a lot of people are feeling these days. So, what are you feeling these days? And what can we do about it? Let's see. I'm also going to be reading from the deck, also because it's very, very cute. Some of the writings, as you'll see. Let's get started. How are you feeling? We've got 8 of Swords. So this little symbol is swords. And this is the 8 of Swords that first came up. And that's a cat who has kind of gotten tangled up a little bit. So let's read from the booklet, see what it says. 8 of Swords. This card is short on subtlety, but long on symbolism. Well, you're tangled up, all right. All those feelings of entrapment, of restriction, are distracting you from seeing things clearly and facing the facts. It's leaving you feeling isolated and vulnerable. You can break out of this. Look inward, take responsibility, and face the music, and you'll see a path forward. So the 8 of Swords is about feeling trapped when you don't really have to. In the traditional tarot deck, this is a woman who has a blindfold on her eyes, and she's sort of walking through this perilous area with a lot of swords in it, or fire, or various kinds of precarious things around her. But her hands are free. So it's about like you're kind of trapped in a place, but some of it is your own doing. And it doesn't mean that there aren't real dangers or real risks that you faced, but feeling trapped there is your choice. The bad things are there, but feeling trapped amongst them is something you might have gotten yourself into somehow. But how come? How come you've got yourself all tangled up? What happened to make you like that? So we've got the 10 of Cups. And there's a cat who's looking very wistfully at the 10 of Cups. Now, the 10 of Cups is usually about having everything you want, all your emotional needs met. But this one is more about the wishful thinking about it. So this one is looking at this 10 of Cups, which has these rainbow-colored cups, right? And this cat, she's like, I want some of that, She's like, I already had my treats, but I kind of would like more treats, please, And she's looking at her cat bowls and thinking, when am I going to get treats again? And I think what this means is that maybe you got caught up in some of this because you thought that what you were going to do was going to be an easy task. Now, that doesn't mean that you didn't put the work into it, but it means that you might have underestimated the level of risk that you have taken in some aspect of life, and especially when it comes to your feelings, your emotional ability to handle things. You might have just signed up for more than you can bear, right? And that happens sometimes. Sometimes we think we can do a lot more than we can do. And then we're like, oh my God, when am I going to get a break? When am I going to get a treat, right? When is the payoff for all the things that I'm doing? And that might be where you're at. So I feel like that's part of what got you here and how you're kind of tangled up and like burnt out and just involved in too many things. Ace of Cups. And here you are trying to start something new. Maybe you have these dreams, these hopes of, just starting over, just being able to start with what feels right again. And things don't feel right to you right now. Like you're tangled up and it's kind of a mess. You're not really sure how you're going to get out of it. And you're kind of wistfully longing for something that you might have thought was in your reach, but wasn't. But here, you kind of in this dream space. Look at this cat. Like his eyes are closed, right? And he's just happy. He's just chilling, right? And you want to be that. You want to have a simpler life. You want to have something that is rooted in a heart space. It's rooted in your heart chakra. Now, that's what I'm getting out of this, right? Because here we have this cat, and he's like, what's going on? And this cat's like, oh, I wish I could have some treats. And this cat, he's just drinking, right? He's actually getting what he wants. And this is I wish I could get what I wanted, right? And maybe there's an innocence there. There's something that's innocent that started you on this path. I mean, this cat doesn't look very innocent, but you know what I mean. Cats don't really mean to get themselves into trouble, right? They're mostly just curious, or they're just exercising their instincts to hunt or whatever. And then they sometimes get themselves into trouble, like people sometimes do. So, how did you get into trouble? Did you get into trouble? How? How was it? Two of Cups. You got swindled into something because either you had a crush on someone or there was some kind of potential attraction or flirtation. Maybe you got caught up in something because there was some chance of a romantic or some kind of close relationship. So maybe it was an ex or somebody who got you involved in something that eventually got you all tangled up and you got super burnt out. Maybe they left and you were still stuck there. You were still like, what am I still doing here? But, or maybe you stayed there because they were still there and they were kind of tagging you along. Or maybe it was a real actual relationship, but somehow it was this desire for partnership, right? Because these are two cats and they're sharing the bowl. And if you've had cats, that they don't always want to share their bowls. Most of them, unless they've known each other from a very young age, they might have particular types of personalities that get along with other cats. But most cats are very territorial. They want their space, their way. They don't want any other cat getting in their space. They don't want to share, food or water and all that. So if they're sharing a bowl like that, especially if they're not related and they haven't known each other since basically their birth, it's rare. It's rare. It's rare that cats come together like that. So you thought maybe you found something in somebody that you didn't think you could have ever had. Like you found somebody that maybe you thought, well, this person is so unique, I can't let them go. So maybe they led you down sort of a primrose path, as they say, and got you involved in some stuff that eventually you were just like tagging along and you were just doing all the work and then you were not getting any payback, right? And you were just like, where's the payback for what I've done, for all the work I've put in? And, you're kind of dreaming of maybe having a baby or having a new idea or a new project or a new relationship, and it's just not working out. And that's how you got into this space, right? You got into it because of love. It's a very normal thing to want love. King of Wands. And you have been looking for your King of Wands. Now, the King of Wands is an active, caring, passionate person. Might be a man, might be a woman, but the idea is that they are just driven. They are passionate about whatever they believe in. It could be something creative, something artistic. Maybe they're a business person or somebody who has a vision for something, maybe an author of some kind, maybe a celebrity or a wannabe celebrity or a politician even. And this is somebody who is just driven by that inner passion, right? And that's somebody you kind of fall for. right? That's somebody you tend to want to be around because you just love that energy. You love that energy of being around somebody who's passionate. And so that is a pattern for you, I think. 10 of Wands. So this is the Wands symbol. Let's read from the book. 10 of Wands. The fight has been won, the spoils are yours, but you are weary from the battle. Understandably, you are exhausted. Look at all the goodies you've acquired. It may be the home stretch, but it's not time to let your guard down. Don't take on more than your fair share of burden and responsibility. Believe it or not, you have even more treats coming your way, but it will take a little longer. So the 10 of Wands is definitely battle-weary. This is a character who has won their passion, who has gotten to the goal that they wanted to get to, right? In this case, we have a kitty cat who has conquered all the toys, and yet it doesn't really feel like they've won. It doesn't really feel to them like this was worth it. They're not really sure, right? Because of the price they had to pay for it. There's a concept called a Pyrrhic victory, and it's when you win something, but you lose so much in the process that you're not sure by the end of it if you actually won or if it was worth the price you paid. And I feel like that's what this card is about, that you are headed on a path because of the kind of choices that you've made and the kind of people you've been attracted to and people who've drawn you into this position of being entangled and being burnt out and not getting what you want as much as you deserve, really, because of all the work you've put in. But now you're not sure if even getting what you want is worth it because you've seen too much. You know too much. You are now at a point where you just want to get out of this whole situation that you're in, okay? How do you get out? Death is the ultimate change. Death is like, let that shit go, okay? Let it go. Because there is no other way to get out of the situation other than to end it. To end that relationship, to end that toxic setup you're in. Whether it's some kind of workplace thing or a relationship or a friendship or a community or group that you're part of, it's time to maybe think about moving on. And Death card is, of course, a scary card, but it's really about ultimate change, just complete transformation, right? Unmitigated change, like change you cannot return from. And that's important in this case. And I feel like that's what it's been leading up to, right? All of these things have been leading up to, well, you've been hanging on, you've been putting up with a lot of crap. You have been led sort of by the nose, by somebody or maybe more than one person against your own better judgment to put in more than you were ever going to get out of this situation. And I think that it's time to really rethink it. Now, if you were to do that, like, what happens? Where are you going to go next? What is it that you fear? Why do you have a hard time letting it go? Right? What is that? 5 of Wands. So you're afraid of the kind of conflict and competition. And maybe you, on some level, feel that you're not really equipped to handle that on your own. And maybe this group or this person or these people that you are involved with who have been taking advantage of you in a way, they gave you a sense of camaraderie, partnership, team, spirit, whatever you want to call it, where it made you feel like maybe you could take on more than you could alone, right? And sometimes we feel that might be the case, but then we also realize that the people we're with might also be toxic, right? They have to be good people. They have to be the kind of people who are compatible with ourselves in order for it to be a good complement. Let's read from the booklet. 5 of Wands. There are only so many toys to go around, so there may be some competition on the horizon, even a little struggle and conflict in the seeking of rewards. You have your eyes squarely on the prize, but watch out for the 5 C's: conflict, competition, chaos, commotion, and cooperation, or lack thereof. Struggles lie ahead, even fiery, passionate ones. Be prepared to fight for your fair share. And that is, I think, the core here, is that you know that there's a struggle ahead. There is a fight for what you want. And on some level, you've been reluctant to fight that fight. You've been wanting to avoid it, avoid that kind of confrontation. So what's it going to take for you to get to that? The Fool. The Fool is about letting go of prior assumptions. In this case, I'm feeling like maybe you need to rethink the entire strategy, the entire plan that you've had around whatever it is you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to get to a place, there might be a way for you to get there in a different way. If you're trying to achieve a certain position in life or whatever, there might be a way for you to rethink it and start over. The Fool is also the energy of starting over, of learning new things, of stepping into the unknown, right? And so after all of this stuff, you're burnt out, you're tired, you've been taken advantage of, but we get the Fool card, which is really about being okay with not knowing, being okay with being new, whatever your age. And it's a sort of a muscle you have to build up. And one of the best ways to do that is by learning something new, taking a class or picking up a book on something or picking up a new hobby or whatever. Taking something new and expanding your ability to handle information, handle new stuff. A lot of times we want to stick with what's familiar. Well, the Fool encourages us to break our assumptions about ourselves, about our own identity. So what I would recommend is that you slowly train yourself to become okay with that beginner's energy, the growth mindset, whatever you want to call it. And to do that, take something new and put it into your life. Just one thing. And then start with something else, something a little bit bigger, more significant. Start picking up phrases in a language you've always wanted to learn. You don't have to learn the whole language from scratch. Maybe just learn to say some phrases or pick up a new hobby of some kind. Whatever it is, just be the Fool and be okay with it. Because remember, we got this card earlier, the Death card, right? And what happens when everything is transformed, right? Everybody's new, or whoever is transformed and whatever is transformed becomes new again. And that can happen at any age. And all that you have to do is agree, commit to learning more about something you want to learn more about. So I think that all of the stuff that's going on in the world, especially for you right now, requires you to rethink, radically rethink, if you are really being fully appreciated where you are, and if you're not, to end the toxic relationships that you're in, to become your own person and take charge of your life and be your own King of Wands. There might be people out there who are compatible with you, but at the end of the day, you have to find your own savior, your own other half within you, because it's really not very healthy to keep looking that in somebody else. It's much more healthy to come together with somebody else who is also working on themselves and isn't looking for you to fulfill all of their needs and to fill all their gaps. So it's better for you to kind of go out there and learn about what I would recommend, things like Tao Te Ching or Zen Buddhism or all kinds of other spiritual and psychological and mental health and creative techniques and tools that allow you to grow in a way so that you can find yourself in healthier environments with healthier people who are better for you and who will help you grow into more of yourself. I hope that this has been helpful. If you like this deck, please do check it out. There are links in the description, and I would love to hear from you if this was helpful, or even if it wasn't. Leave me a comment, leave me a thumbs up, and as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and have a sweet infinity.